Hi, it's Dr. Ray, and today we are going over what is acceptable versus unacceptable AI use for my course. First, let's talk about what is artificial intelligence. So, we know artificial intelligence, particularly AI bots like ChatGPT. AI writing bots are software that have been fed millions of examples of writing. Then, using algorithms, these language generators use predictive modeling to create content. So they've created like an average of what they think an essay is, a sentence is, an idea is, and that is what they replicate when we ask them, for example, provide me a summary of Kate Chopin's Story of an Hour. They have thousands and thousands of examples of both the story and people writing about the story, and it gives us kind of an average that follows the rules of grammar and syntax and all that. So, what does AI excel at? What's really cool and useful for us as writers when we're using AI? AI's ability to translate languages. So, for example, if you have something in Italian and want to, read it in English, of course, it's not going to be perfect. Like, we can talk about that in a different time, all the issues of going through one language to another, but it understands multiple languages and the ability to translate, and its vocabulary is broader than any human's is, right? Also, it can access resources and edit for grammatical and spelling errors at a rate that surpasses human ability. So, very cool stuff. It can automate repetitive tasks such as proofreading, grammar checks, and formatting, freeing us, human writers, to focus on more creative aspects of our writing process. So, how can we use AI in my course? And this is again just me, Dr. Ray's policies for my classes. I'm down with let's use AI to check our grammar and our style, which means like, the formatting of our citations and our headings and, our indentations, all those things. Finding information on your topic, I'll show you how to do that. So if you feel limited by Google and our databases and you want to still find more resources, there's very cool things AI can do for you. Brainstorming and refining your ideas, like creating an outline and fine tuning your research question. And I'll show you that in just a second. And drafting an outline to organize your thoughts. So you could give it a bunch of ideas and say, organize this into a 6-paragraph or a 3-page essay outline. And it does very cool things there. Whatever you use AI for, you need to cite in your works cited. And I will show you how to do that as well. So again, what does AI excel at? I put in this sample paper on checking out, and I said, show me my grammar errors. And immediately, you can zoom in a little bit, it shows me you have a typo here. Acceptance should be acceptance, like are should replace is. And it shows you specifically, you need to go back and make those changes. And by doing so, you're learning as you go. So I think it's a remarkable and interesting tool for helping us find typos and grammatical errors and things like that in our prose. Whenever you use AI for anything, you need to cite it. So what I did, as soon as I gave it that question, show me my grammar errors, and it gave me its response, I wrote, create an MLA citation for my previous request. And it created it right here. So I would put Ray Susan, check for grammar errors, OpenAI chat, and the date. So again, whatever you use AI for, and make sure it's in accordance to my outline of what's acceptable AI use, you need to cite it. That is essential. Another thing you can ask AI is I gave it another piece of that sample essay and I said, show me my errors with MLA citation. And it did right here. It said a DJ should come before the page number. Use only the page numbers in the parentheses, not writing the word page or, stuff like that. So it's so useful. And finding these little errors that as, creative thinkers, we're writing quickly, getting our ideas down. And AI is like, hey, you have an error here. Or you're using, Chicago style instead of MLA style. It's a really useful tool to help us make sure that we're doing things properly. So again, I asked it to show me my errors in MLA citation. And right here, I said, create a citation for my request. And it did it right here. Other things AI excels at is helping us find sources. So again, Dunya McHale is an author that maybe is not as well known as some other authors. Like, for example, like Charles Dickens, you're going to find a million sources there, less so with Dunya McHale. So if you've gone through Google, you've gone through database sources and you don't feel satisfied, you can go to ChatGPT or another AI bot and say, find me sources on Dunya McHale. And here it's listed some of her publications, which is very cool. And moving forward, it said, have you thought about literary journals? Have you thought about academic articles? So even when it can't draw you information, it's suggesting ways to find sources on her, which is a really cool way to brainstorm. Because I might have thought, yeah, I've thought about biographical articles, but I didn't think like, oh my gosh, she's probably published in literary journals and magazines. Maybe I want to check that out. As always, whatever you ask the AI bot, you need to cite it. So let's talk about the limitations. So not just my pet peeves and how I don't want you to use it, but where AI is just it's not like you. It can't write like you. And let me show you why. AI lacks human creativity. Again, it's using an algorithm based on all the words it's been fed to create an average. It's mathematical, it's impressive, it's not creative, right? AI lacks human creativity. It doesn't understand nuance and emotion. At least currently, it sure doesn't, right? There's some really funny videos you can look up where people are asking AI to write love poetry or to, write about like the anger present in a poem. It can't conceptualize emotion, so it can't do that. So especially some of the texts you're writing about have really important underlying messages. And AI doesn't understand like that, right? You have to remember it's an algorithm spitting out words based on an average. It can't conceptualize like that. If you are writing a paper comparing two issues, like very controversial issues, like an issue that's very controversial, two sides of it, it can synthesize information, right? It can tell you, so gun control, for example, it can bring in, a history of incidents and laws and all these things, but it can't determine which one is more credible or important, right? They can just weigh it on something you ask it, like which has more sources, which is not a reason to choose a side. So again, it can't assess strength and credibility. You need a human for that. AI tools can't apply the knowledge generated to the real world, except in a very superficial sense. And as someone who's read a lot of AI generated papers, unfortunately, that have been submitted as student papers, I can tell you AI writing, and also just having fed in my own prompts, it's just an average of what it's been fed. So you get these very like generic, boring, not insightful, fluffy papers. So there's a limit to what AI can do. So as I mentioned, if you ask AI, which I know no one will do, but if you ask AI, hey, write me a paper about Dunya Mikhail's The War Works Hard, not only will it not understand the emotion and nuance in a poem about war, but AI writing tends to be wordy and fluffy, and it doesn't get down to the point very directly. It's weak on evidence. Again, it's filler words, not a lot of like concrete evidence driving claims. There's really no humor or emotion if you're going to talk about a poem or a work that's talking about a controversial issue like racism or sexism or violence. Like there's emotional analysis that goes on behind that. AI can't do that. And AI knows that, a research paper wants outside sources. It'll often invent sources. So when the reader goes to check those sources, they don't exist. So certainly there's strong limitations to AI. Here's a really funny example of a young man had a bunch of scripts from Olive Garden commercials. Of course, Olive Garden is a chain Italian restaurant, and so he either had or typed up the scripts from like lots and lots and lots of decades of Olive Garden commercials. He fed those scripts to a computer and said, "Create me an average, write me a new script." And this is what the computer wrote, and I'll let you take a closer look. But things like pasta nachos for you. The pasta nachos, they're warm and defeated. The menu is here. Lasagna wings with extra Italy. So again, this is not a normal AI production, but when it's something very specific where it only had so many scripts to work off of. But you can see what happens when it takes an average. It's doing its best, but there's limitations to what AI can do, and sometimes they're comical limitations. So you could make the point, well, AI is still awesome, and it's getting better every year. Why am I learning to write? And, AI is getting better, and it is going to do a better job at feigning human emotion, nuance, creativity, humor. I think it's going to be a long time before we get there. But it certainly doesn't possess it. I don't think it will ever truly possess emotion or creativity. Also, by you learning to write, you're learning to think. Because when you're writing about anything, about a topic, about an issue, about something you read, you're thinking through it, you're looking at evidence, you're taking a magnifying glass to your own ideas and evaluating your own thinking and then defending your viewpoints. So by me teaching you how to write and read critically, you're becoming a better thinker. So you don't want to miss out on this process. Writers are better communicators. So I'm pretty good at extemporaneous speech, and that's because I'm constantly writing. I'm constantly learning how to take what's going on in my mind and putting it into words. And that's what you get from a writing class as well. Also, I will share there has been a trend of people who are getting through certain courses, high school, college, grad school, with AI doing a lot of their work, and they're showing up in the workforce and they're being let go or retrained because they don't have the skill set that those courses would have given them. So there is a big problem with people who have used AI, and this is a variety of fields, to do their work for them in college and high school, are showing up in the workforce and they don't have the skills, the mastery of the subjects they were intended to have, absorbed. And this is some very real headlines I wanted to show you about the damage caused by plagiarized AI, of people passing off AI as their own work. I think the headline on the left is the most troubling. The situation has become appalling. Fake scientific papers push research credibility to a crisis point. So there is a lot of pressure on academics in all fields, but including the sciences and also doctors, MDs, to publish and keep putting out new work. They've found so far over 10,000 papers that doctors, scientists, academics have published that have been created by AI. And people assumed these papers were legitimate and they've been in peer-reviewed journals. So, for example, I was going to do cancer research. I've pulled up these articles that I thought were submitted by a scientist, were legitimate, and the information is entirely fabricated and fake. And I started my own research based on this nonsense. So all of a sudden, cancer research is set back, or patient care is set back, or taking on issues of pollution is set back. So there are real life consequences to people submitting AI generated text as their own research, as their own ideas. We're having these issues right now in society. This isn't something in the future. I just want to think about that for a moment. Also, 4 in 10 business leaders say recent college grads are unprepared to enter the workforce, and a lot of that's being tied to like how many graduates have used AI to complete work that they didn't master themselves. And also, there's a great article, and I have the sources right here, so you can look up the journal, the magazine that publishes articles. Cheating is hurting college students in that, sense of esteem and accomplishment and not having done these assignments. So with all this in mind, I'm hardcore. Any AI use that's detected, my policy, you failed the assignment and twice you're out of the course. I'm here to help you. So if you're struggling with anything, you come to me, work on it together, right? I'm here to support you and for you to learn. We're going to bypass all this nonsense that I've just gone over. So let's talk about what's unacceptable in my course. Because like I said, you can have it check for errors, check for spelling or grammar errors, find sources for you, check formatting, check citation. You cannot ever let AI impersonate you in a classroom context. That means submitting me work or a comment or even an email. Like, I want your words. I don't mind the typos. Don't let AI generate text for you. If you're feeling like really professional and you want AI to check your email to me for spelling errors, that's fine. But don't have AI contact me for you. Don't have AI write a paper for you or a homework assignment for you. Can't write a draft of an assignment. I never want AI writing entire sentences, paragraphs for you. It cannot revise your prose, and I will talk about why in a moment, because I know this upsets some students, but like if you write a paragraph, you cannot ask AI, like Chegg or ChatGPT or any of these, rewrite this for me. Don't ever say fix this for me, because it's going to change your writing to its own writing, which is unacceptable. And again, I've had a student ask me, well, why can't I use AI to write my prose? I always use Chegg. I always use Grammarly Go. I will show you why. I'm telling you right now, just tell me that you get it. It's not acceptable. You can say, show me my grammar errors. You can say, show me my citation errors. You cannot say, fix this for me, rewrite it for me. You cannot use Grammarly Go to change your sentences. Why? It's using that algorithm. So it's taking your words and forcing it into that algorithm that it's been learned by being fed, millions of samples. And you're going to lose your voice. You're going to lose the emotion, the nuance, like what makes your writing your own. Also, by having Grammarly Go or Chegg or whatever rewrite your paper, you're not learning from your errors. right? It's not helping you recognize grammar errors, which is going to affect your speech later on, or understanding or reading comprehension later on. It's taking your sentences and forcing them into the AI algorithm, and your rewritten prose becomes AI generated, meaning that turn it in, and other filters that I use are going to say, hey, AI wrote this, and I'm going to say, I'm sorry, you fail, AI wrote this. And you're going to say, but it's my own ideas, Grammarly Go just changed it. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to debate this with you. This is AI prose, you know the rules. So that's where we are. I understand it's frustrating. You're welcome to contact me with questions, but you're allowed to use AI in the sense of asking it to show me my errors. You're not allowed to use AI to fix or change your writing. We're here to become stronger thinkers and writers. We're not going to have AI take your brilliant ideas and emotions and insights and force your language into that algorithm, which is fluffy and boring and dry anyway. If you have any questions, if there's any confusion about what is and what isn't acceptable AI use, contact me, ask me. Don't get into any trouble. Don't feel lost or confused. I'm here to answer questions. It's a brave new world. We're in it together. And thank you for taking your time to watch this. And again, reach out.